Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle. And for my final video of the day, I honestly want to talk about something that I'm super passionate about. Furry, blue hedgehogs that can speak, run at the speed of sound, and don't have the greatest track record video game-wise. That's right, we're going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. Particularly this article I found from Rock Paper Shotgun, which is not an outlet I'm familiar with, but it states, Sonic Frontiers is popular, but it's a boring Sonic game, and I'm bitter about it. Now, I'm going to give this article the benefit of the doubt and not immediately break the computer and webcam you see in front of you at such an accusation, because there might be some valid points in here. Obviously, Sonic has had a rough go of it the last decade and a half. Pretty much everything since Sonic Heroes, with one or two exceptions in between. So I do get that there's going to be criticism from this game. I think it's the best Sonic has been in a long time. It's definitely not a perfect game. I'd say a solid 7, which, again, when Sonic games have been averaging 2 to 3, a 7 feels like a freaking 12. So let's super speed into this article and see if this guy's got a point, or, frankly, if he's just a whiny crybaby on the internet like most video game fans. Sonic is dead. Long live Sonic. Well, that's already a stupid tagline. When you say long live, you don't say it after something has died. Like when you're there, long live the king is still alive. You're wishing a long life. You can't wish a long life to something that's already dead. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but that's just a stupid way to start this off. Let's continue. After all these years of going fast, it would appear that Sonic the Hedgehog has finally arrived. He's thrown off the shackles of individuality and joined the open world herd with Sonic Frontiers, a game that sees the Blue Blur himself canter and gamble across primarily barren environments that closely resemble the default assets that ship with certain game engines. Do I see him embittered? Perish the thought. I'm happy for Sonic, honestly. He's made it. He's on top of the world right now, getting review scores he never could have dreamed of since the salad days of the Mega Drive. A Metacritic in the 70s? He may as well have been kissed on the nips by Jesus Christ himself. Alright, I like this guy's writing style, I won't lie. Even if he is potentially going to start talking trash about one of my holy trinity of nerdisms, I appreciate the sarcasm and witty banter here. And so he runs, pinging his way between springboard winches, boost pads, and little floating balloons, tapping the X button to bounce between them when a little target appears, beckoning him to do its bidding. Sonic looks east, he looks west, and sees grind rails. He's free, you see, and so am I. Free from giving the slightest toss about this stupid rubbish series for undemanding children. Yeah, in a way I get what he's saying. Sonic has felt far too much like a children's series for my liking. The reason that Sonic Heroes, Sonic Adventures, Sonic Adventure 2, all those 3D games Sonic works, various degrees, is because they were treated like games for everyone. They weren't necessarily children games. They weren't necessarily games for adults. They were for everyone. Rated E for everyone. Like these hands that Homeboy decides to start talking trash on Sonic later on in this article. But I digress. So yeah, with the route that Sonic has taken, game-wise, I can't argue too much. Thankfully, the Archie comics, and even to an extent the IDW comics, never really have fallen into that trap. I think the games could learn a lot from the comics, and with Ian Flynn being brought in to write the most recent game, I think it did learn a lot from the comics. No, I'm not bitter. I grew up playing Sonic and have subsequently enjoyed and endured every single game in the entire series across my 35 wasted years. I can say the same about my almost 30 wasted years, my friend. Defending this perceived missteps at almost every turn. Okay, I can't say I've done that. And insisting this collective work had merit. The Sonic games, even at their worst, offered up something interesting, something strange, some mechanic presented in a way so alien to what it considered good game design that I can't help but smile. Think of the way Sonic Adventure feels like it's held together with warm masking tape. It remains an absolute joy to explore. Well, again, I've made it no secret on this channel, Sonic Adventure is not only my favorite Sonic game, but literally my single favorite video game of all time. I do not feel like it is held together by masking tape. I think that it, to this day, has a brilliant and exploitable physics engine that, while, yes, is technically dated, actually holds up compared to a lot of Dreamcast games that, well, feel like Dreamcast games. There's a reason this game was ported to GameCube, then made available on PS3 HD, and then made available on PS4 with the PS Now, and is on Steam. Like, Sonic Adventure has its merits, especially nowadays with all the mods and ways that you can improve, and if not improve, interestingly change the game. That's my little side note on Sonic Adventure. I'm tired of people calling it dated. It's not. It's charming. Oh, for God's sake, of course I'm bitter. How could I not be bitter that Sonic has thrown all that delightful strangeness, that offbeat wrongness, back in my weeping face? And what the hell is Sonic Frontiers anyway? A set of enormous maps with you gradually revealing portions of, complete with icons all over it to tidy up. It's blinkin' bleedin' Assassin's Creed, isn't it? That's what people want from Sonic. This is what makes them cheer. To see him fall in line. For him to be boring. I don't agree, though. Okay, here's where I'm going to start to disagree with this author. It is absolutely different, and not different in a way that we're used to for Sonic. Normally when Sonic's different, he's right, it's strange. But this isn't the first time Sonic has done some sort of copycat stuff. Remember Sonic Lost World? I mean, Super Mario Galaxy Sonic the Hedgehog edition? Like, Sonic has copied stuff in the past, and Nintendo has copied from Sonic in the past. I mean, they've gone back and forth. Yeah, the whole map element is new. The, blinking objectives and whatnot are new. But the feeling you get when controlling Sonic in this open zone game is the closest we've felt to Sonic Adventure in years. I don't find it boring. You could claim that the world itself is boring, and yeah, I can see that. At least World 3 for sure is boring. But I don't think that that's inherently a bad thing. In hindsight, it might be a bad thing, but while playing through it, it was building up a mystery. This world's abandoned for a reason. It's desolate for a reason, and the story plays into why it's desolate. And I, at least, found myself wondering, how did this world get like this? And you get small snippets throughout the game. It actually does do what Sonic has not done, at least not in a very long time, and not force-feed you the story. You have to piece it together, be it through dialogues from Eggman that you can get from fishing minigames, little cutscenes from side quests, the occasional main cutscene, and just the environment itself. These are ruins. Why are they ruins? For something to be ruins, they had to at one point be new and pristine. There is clearly a cataclysm of some kind. There's a reason there's all this ancient technology that somehow looks futuristic. Why is that? Calling it boring is, to me, a surface-level judgment that doesn't actually honor the creativity that goes into the world building. Frontiers isn't a total failure of a game, of course. Repeating the same actions and making Sonic incrementally more powerful is the usual open-world dopamine. The same sort of satisfaction you get from cleaning up your bedroom, except you can't do anything with the space that's left. The most destructive problem with Sonic Frontiers, everything you do ultimately makes the game more boring. The cyberspace stages seem like a blessing respite from the numbing repetition of the open world, but the more traditional 3D Sonic stages reuse stage layouts from past games by design, and they choose to do this. It's another form of surrender, a total acknowledgement and acceptance that the days of anything new, anything somewhat unique, are well and truly over. See, again, I don't agree with that. Like, you can technically play the game just going level to level with minimal open world exploration. You can do the bare minimum, open up the map a bit, keep going, do a level, open up the map a bit. But for people like me, a completionist, who likes the challenge that comes with, oh, let's clear every single spot on this map and get it all open 100%. Yeah. Are they difficult challenges? No, not at all, but this is the first time Sonic has done open zone. It is still technically a franchise geared towards kids, even if it's not just a children's franchise. And yeah, the cyberspace stages were reusing assets and whatnot from Sonic's past, but that also plays into the themes and story of the game. Now, it's something I wish they would stop doing. I'm tired of Green Hill Zone. We've seen it in Sonic Frontiers. We've seen it in Sonic the OC Generator. We saw it in Sonic Generations. Like, we've even seen it in the new TV show, Sonic Prime. I'm pretty over Green Hill. But by the same token, if this was what was needed as a base to launch us into the next generation of Sonic, then I'm okay with these missteps, because a couple missteps now could lead to great steps in the future. This technique is working, of course. People are saying Frontiers is the best Sonic game in years. They're even saying it's the best Sonic game ever, which of course it isn't, but there's no reason to fight back. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I haven't heard anyone make that claim, but if they did, I'd fight back. The Sonic fanbase is vehemently post-truth, and has been since the Sega Saturn was a thing. It's a fanbase I found myself increasingly alienated from, and whose anger seems to have dramatically increased with its unwarranted self-assertiveness. It's one that I've also found myself increasingly alienated from despite being a part of it, but that's just because I don't post sexy Sonic OCs on DeviantArt. I'm pretty self-assured too, clearly, but having experienced the Sonic series since its 1991 debut, the difference for me is the derivative likes of Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, and now the final acquiescence of the generic open-world collectathon, Sonic Frontiers, have mortally wounded my interest in Sonic the Hedgehog. See, no, Sonic Mania was absolutely brilliant. I get maybe you could have that criticism of the most recent Sonic Origins collection, but Sonic Mania is not derivative. Or if you think it is, I'd like to hear your explanation as to why. An absurd statement on the face of it, but it's true, and it's a genuinely saddening outcome considering my former passion for both the games and the people who played them, who studied them with a scrutiny that no other franchise has ever received. I get what he is saying here. The way he's describing his experience with Sonic is how I feel about Star Wars, or Magic the Gathering, or frankly, any other franchise that I love. The only two franchises I feel like have any semblance of what they are left is Sonic and Dragon Ball Z. Even Resident Evil, the third in my holy trinity, has been having an identity crisis since probably 2008, with brief flashes of it remembering what it used to be, all before Capcom seems to throw it away again. And yeah, I've become disenchanted with Resident Evil, only to be re-enchanted by it, only to be disenchanted by it, which is a bit more up and down and topsy-turvy than something like Star Wars, where I'm just flat out disenchanted, or Magic the Gathering, where I want that enchantment back, but I also want to see the company that owns it burned to the fucking ground. I don't feel that with Sonic yet, though. Maybe I've gotten used to Sonic being crap for the last 10 years, so to see something that's acceptable is blinding me to its flaws. But also, why not look at it positively, like a step in the right direction? Just calling this thing an open-world collectathon, while technically true, isn't fair to Sonic as a whole, the world building, what it meant for the history of the franchise. Without getting into spoilers, it ties very heavily to Sonic Adventure, you find out if you do go through all the collectathon stuff and get the information, which is incredible. A game coming out in 2022 that ties back to a game from 1998 that seems all but forgotten. No, that's good. But all you seem to want to do is complain that it's open world. It's something of a pleasant irony that it's the most acclaimed Sonic game in a long time that has seemingly ended my journey alongside the series, my immersion in its fandom. Sonic Frontiers has succeeded by shedding what made Sonic so arresting for me. Its oddness, its unwillingness to conform to contemporary gaming tropes and standards. Now it's a quasi-open world full of stuff to pick up and map squares to fill in, to take down the same bosses over and over again to gather more items than you could possibly need. Look, you talked about liking Sonic Adventure earlier, but is that not technically what Sonic Adventure was? Quasi-open world, it had its adventure fields. Granted, they were far smaller because of Dreamcast hardware, but still, quasi-open worlds where you would find the entrance ports to levels from those open, again, they were called adventure fields, not open zone or open world. Even this game has its own quirky strangeness. The level up system itself, it seems pointless. I mean, you can get the first 3 or 4 moves throughout the game, not upgrade anything, and just blow through the game. There's really kind of a cap. There's not a lot of power creep. You know, everything after you get those first few skills is more just fun. And why include that if it doesn't actually impact the game all that much? Talk about taking down the same bosses over and over. Yeah, Sonic Adventure had more varied bosses, but the way you beat them was always the same. Find their opening, double-click the A button. There was no variety there. So, again, that's my favorite video game of all time, and I'm being honest about what I don't even consider flaws. I like that it's designed that way. This is similar, but you're treating it like it's, you know, breaking old ground, stealing from what other games have done that aren't Sonic games. No, it's doing the same thing Sonic's always done, but it just looks slightly different. It looks prettier, shinier. Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't really see what's wrong with that. Do I think this game's as good as previous Sonic games? No, I think it's better than a whole lot of them. Is it better than any 2D Sonic game? No, probably not. Is it in the top 5 of 3D Sonic games? Yeah, probably. And maybe that's the best we can ask for right now, since Sonic has been on life support the last several years and needed this recovery time. There's a long future ahead of Sonic Frontiers with several free DLC items and expansions planned, but I won't be part of it. It's the final nail in the coffin of my interest in Sonic the Hedgehog, whose imperfections have been replaced with content. The game's inarguable success and the warm embrace of the enthusiasts propping it up mean that the reality of its gameplay is essentially of no consequence. 30 years since Sonic really mattered. He's back in the spotlight, just in time for gaming shepherd's crook to hook my neck and comically yank me off screen. This guy seems like a hipster, just the ultimate hipster. Oh no, people are enjoying a Sonic game, so that means I can't like it, because if everyone else is enjoying it, that must mean it's not doing Sonic right, because Sonic's never been for everyone. Sonic hasn't been for everyone in a long time because it's been shit. They want to make Sonic for everyone, and in doing so, make it for no one. Here, they've finally done something right. Yeah, there's problems, and it needs tweaks. Hopefully we get those in the sequel. But if you want to die on the hill of this is the Sonic game that's keeping you from enjoying the franchise going further, no one's going to come bury your bitter, impassioned corpse. Sonic Frontiers is a good game. Not a great game, but a good game. If it gets Sonic back on track, oh well if it takes some inspiration from conventional gaming methods. That's probably to the series' benefit in the long run. Cosmically, it of course does not matter in the slightest that Sonic has at last shaken me off. The series is free to do what it wants and has finally found a formula with broader appeal. It remains to be seen whether it will still with this approach that clearly works, or if Sega will inexplicably pull the plug again. Me, I'm playing something else. Probably some NES game. Not a care in the world. Sonic the Hedgehog is dead to me, but to the rest of the world, he's more vital, more complete, and more exciting than ever. Man, I worry that this is how I sound when I talk about video games, because, yeah, I am a retro gamer. Yeah, I'm not a fan of a lot of modern games. I think that they're too pretentious. I don't like how cinematic they are. I'm perfectly happy kicking back and playing Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and kind of remembering the good old days, than I am about the new God of War Ragnarok that, frankly, I just don't give a shit about. But I hope I don't talk about it in this pretentious I'm better than you way that this guy does, because this is just sad to see. All in all, I'm glad this individual doesn't like this game, because I don't want someone like this to be part of the Sonic fandom. Frankly, I don't want a lot of people to be part of the Sonic fandom, but I'm not going to try and gatekeep it that hard. I just want folks to come in and understand that Sonic has been around since 1992. 91? Either way, slightly before I was born. And I want to stay around long after my kids have kids. And I want it to be something that we can all love and appreciate together. I have my gripes with the new Sonic Prime show that hit Netflix, but all in all, it wasn't bad. I have my gripes with Frontiers, but all in all, it wasn't bad. You want to know what was bad? Sonic Forces. You want to know what was bad? About half of Sonic Unleashed, depending on what platform you play it on. You want to know what was bad? The Switch's port of Sonic Colors. Sonic has been bad. And if conforming to more modern gameplay sensibilities makes it good and gives it a step in the right direction so that it can take its Sonic quirkiness and in the future apply it in a more individual way, but while using those modern gaming conventions, I'm all for that. Anyway, this has been my rant about Sonic Frontiers and Sonic the Hedgehog as a whole, responding to some angry nerd on the internet that seems to only care about being a pretentious, I'm smarter than you Sonic fan, instead of caring about what the game truly is. A return to form in many ways, and an interesting look into how Sonic World builds, if nothing else. So with that, please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about Sonic Frontiers or this article. If you hate it, that's fine. Tell me why. I'm interested in reading. And I really do hope you subscribe, because I'm trying to grow this channel. It does mean the world to me if you do. Also follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord. Shoot me some Sonic GIFs or images or memes. And I will see you next time on Words of Paradise.